Well, one of the plants that's blooming right now is a great plant for a shady area, and a lot of times we get questions on things that'll bloom in the shade, and this is a perfect plant for this area. This is a celandine poppy, and actually it was brought to us from Arkansas by one of our ambassadors. Now this is a beautiful plant. It has nice lush green leaves and this beautiful four-petaled yellow blossom early in the spring, and then the blossoms go away and you just see the leaves. These plants like anywhere from semi to full shade, and they like a moist environment, and they'll actually take anywhere from an alkaline to an acid soil, so they're very forgiving about the soil. However, they do like to be moist, and if the environment around them is moist, then they'll go ahead and spread for you. Now these look really pretty planted with another plant that we have growing in our shade garden here, and that would be the creeping phlox. Now this is Phlox stolonifera, and the variety that we have is Blue Ridge, and it actually has these nice blue flowers which would look very nice interplanted with that celandine poppy. Now the nice thing about the creeping phlox is if you have a shade garden that actually is on the dry side, you could put the creeping phlox in. It will stand dry as well as wet shade, whereas the celandine poppy only likes wet shade. Now, if you're looking for other things to put in your shade garden that'll bloom in the spring, you might try some of the bulbs. And we've got several bulbs planted in our shade garden from the Daffodil Mart. And one of these is Chinodoxa, or the commonly known as Glory of the Snow, because it comes up so early in the season. Now if you look down here, these have beautiful blue flowers with kind of a white star in the middle. And these look very pretty coming up in early spring. Now these are a shade tolerant bulb. They'll take kind of a partially shaded area, so if you plant them at the edge of your shade garden, it'll probably be better for it. Now we also have another bulb here, and that is Scilla siberica, and it is actually the most shade tolerant bulb of all. And again, it's a lot like the Glory of the Snow with the blue and white flowers. However, instead of standing straight up, they tend to weep over. We've got some other bulbs that we have planted in our rock garden, and they're blooming right now, so let's go take a look at those. As you'll recall, last week we looked at some bulbs in our rock garden that had very interesting foliage, and this week they're actually blooming, and that's the Tulipa clusiana peppermint sticks. And they have just a beautiful bloom on them. It blooms very short, about 4 to 6 inches tall, and if you look here, it has this beautiful gold in the middle with the red on the outside, and as these open up during the day, they just are a brilliant yellow color, and then contrasting with the red on the outside of the blossom. Now a similar tulip that we have in the rock garden is the Tulipa chrysantha, and again it's another species tulips, and it has the same coloration as our Tulipa clusiana peppermint sticks. Now if you're wanting a different color, we've got some great ones blooming right now, and that would be the Tulipa bakeri lilac wonder. Like the name says, the blooms on this are a nice kind of a lilac pink color with a nice yellow center on it, which really brighten up this corner of the rock garden. These again are a species tulip, so they should naturalize well here, and they'll withstand the heat of Oklahoma a lot better. Now if you're looking for a red tulip, we've got one blooming right now that is just absolutely spectacular, and that is the Tulipa wilsoniana. This has a dark vermilion red bloom with that dark black center and is very striking in the garden. Finally, we have right down here what looks a lot like a grape hyacinth, but it isn't. This is a Belvalia bicantha, and it has this nice kind of grape hyacinth-like bloom, and the top here, as it blooms from the bottom to the top, looks a lot like a little miniature Christmas tree.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.